The rarity of a trophy is determined by the percentage of players who have earned it, relative to the total number of players who have played the game. PSN categorizes rarity based on this percentage, with ultra rare trophies being earned by 0.1 to 5% of the player base for the game. I'll be using the PSN profiles website to determine this rarity rather than the PSN itself. PSN tracks every single account that has gone online to track the rarity of the trophies, so the numbers are heavily skewed and you end up with many 0.1 platinums. A much better indicator of rarity is PSN profiles, which only tracks people who use the site. So in reality, you're comparing yourself to other trophy hunters and their ultra rare platinums. Of course, being ultra rare means they are the most difficult trophies in a list to obtain, for whatever reason. Maybe they're skill based, time limited, or even just super grindy. It could even be that the game is bad enough that people don't want to finish it completely. If a list has an ultra rare trophy, the platinum for that game will be ultra rare by default. I'm doing a massive list of my ultra rare platinums so we can have a look at them together. I've got 34 ultra rare platinums in total as of this video. So I'm going to show the first 4 in this introduction, so the rest of the videos even out, with 5 being in every other video. My least rare ultra rare at number 34 is Battlefield Hardline, sitting at 4.78% rarity. A polarizing entry to the Battlefield franchise, it was quickly perceived as a failure amongst the community. There's a few reasons for this, I think. People were used to the military setting, the vehicles and the weapons. Now we've got cops and robbers running around with unique gadgets and a couple of unfamiliar game modes thrown into the mix. It was fun, but the change in theme was a bit jarring and didn't quite feel like Battlefield. But I think it mainly disappointed fans because of the lackluster single player campaign. Unfortunately, most of the trophies were tied to this single player. In retrospect, Hardline felt more like Battlefield than 2042 did at launch, which I dropped instantly. But the single player trophies were a bore, the limited multiplayer trophies were run of the mill, and nothing really stood out about the list. It wasn't difficult or memorable, it just kind of existed. What I remember the most is enjoying the multiplayer, even though the majority of trophies were in the campaign. This likely explains the rarity. People didn't want to play a lot of the single player, so not finishing it, pushing that rarity down below 5%. It's quite an interesting take on why a plat is rare, I think. It wasn't good enough to finish, so no, not many people went for the platinum because they didn't want to. Monster Hunter World is at number 33 with 4.76% rarity. Now this game deserves its own video. It was the first in the franchise I truly dedicated myself to. I did play the PSP ones back in the day, but this is the one that really hooked me. I want to cover World, Iceborne, Rise and Sunbreak, which all share similar lists. This is the vanilla PS4 Monster Hunter game, the first one on the console. It's interesting to me that Iceborne World's expansion has its own platinum, which is strange for a DLC in itself, and is actually less rare than World's, coming in at 6%. This is one of those games that you don't really play for trophies. It sucks you in, hooks you with its charm and gameplay, an addictive gameplay loop. Trophies were truly an afterthought to me whilst I was playing this. But of course it does come with trophies, and it will come to a point where you've earned the majority naturally, and then the platinum seems doable because of how much time you've sunk into it. There's no question the ultra rarity for this platinum comes from gathering the gold crowns. This tasks you with filling out the logbook with the smallest and largest size of each monster. You will need every large and small crown for the separate 2 gold trophies. Event quests certainly help with this acquisition, but there's always going to be 1 or 2 monsters that don't want to spawn its crown. These will need hundreds of attempts sometimes. It's luck, it's a roll of the die. Mine was Kushala Dora, one of the more annoying monsters to fight anyway, the big windy dragon. But ultimately it comes down to chance. The rarity comes from the time commitment needed for this game, and not everyone can or will want to dedicate a few hundred hours to this. My game time, including Iceborne, is 1200 hours. I'm a pretty big fan of the game. Coming out at number 32 is Gunscape. Now you may not have heard of this game, but imagine Doom or Quake mixed with Little Big Planet's community and creative aspects. Whilst browsing a sale, I liked the game icon, so I clicked on it. A little bit of trophy research and I was, getting there to buy it. It looked like the front cover of Quake 2, so it really got my attention fast. Then the gameplay looked like Quake. And the game is exactly that really, a throwback to some of my favourite shooters from the 90s, but with this massive emphasis on level creation and campaign creation. It's really fun and in-depth, and the weapons are really cool. The community has made some fantastic campaigns and levels. It's just the trophy list is uninspired. Everything is get 1,000 kills with this weapon type or play X amount of game modes. It was just a big grind fest. Add to the fact that a few trophies were glitched. I remember having to get 1,000 kills in one session in a 1v1 deathmatch against a bot who had a respawn timer, which you can edit down to, 2 seconds or something, but it was just a bit rough. This game is ultra rare because people didn't want to play it for as long as the trophy list demanded. It's simple as that. It is a shame, but I think it's a case where the game wasn't popular enough for the trophy list to be earned naturally. So it forced trophy hunters to kind of boringly play on their own, and shooting bots when they're not fighting back is not very fun. If you convince several people to play this with you in the co-op campaigns and the deathmatches on the community created levels, that sounds great on paper. But as a trophy hunter, where you'll likely be playing mostly on your own, I can't recommend it. Lastly for this video is number 31, Ziggurat, which comes in at a 4.51% rarity. Now this is probably another game that not too many people have heard of, but it's a dungeon crawler with roguelike elements all over the place, frantic arena combat with magic and power-ups. It has you navigating dungeons room to room, and then you're locked into it arena style like Doom, Doom Eternal and the newer Dooms. Until you clear the room of enemies, you earn XP as you go and you level up. It has multiple characters to unlock with varying playstyles, massive replayability, and every run feels really different because you're getting, from the roguelike stuff, you're getting different weapons, different power-ups, and different room types, all sorts of stuff. It was a super fun game and a really challenging platinum. There is a sequel that I'm tempted to buy at some point. Now this game is ultra rare because of the difficulty. It's just generally a difficult game. Regaining health is hard, navigating is hard, some of the bosses are really tough. How well you do depends on your build, which in turn relies on the power-ups and the level-ups you choose. And of course all that is randomly generated from the roguelike nature of the game. One trophy specifically, called Intensive Course, needs you to complete the game in one run with the Argo character, and he's a jack of all trades. He has no glaring strengths or weaknesses. The trophy wants you to complete the game in 45 minutes or less, which is quite a tall order of a speedrun for a roguelike. This needs skill, dedication for when you fail, a fair bit of luck, and just generally a good run. It was a really rewarding platinum and might be one of my favourite ultra rares over all of the ones I have. Okay guys, that is part 1 done. Next will be Platinum's 30 to 26, so the next 5 on my ultra rare list. I hope you look forward to it, and I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time.